1.39. 1.
My earliest memory, I must have been about 3, I guess, possibly 2, was when we'd been to a fun fair, and I would have gone with my brother, who's a bit older than me, and my parents, and I'd been bought a helium balloon, and for some reason the balloon had a snowman inside it. It was only September. I don't know why there was a snowman, but there was. And I took it out into the back garden, and because it was full of helium, obviously it was pulling on the string. It wanted to fly away. And I let go. I didn't let go by accident. I remember letting go on purpose to see what would happen. And of course what happened was the balloon flew up into the sky over the neighbours' trees and disappeared. And I was absolutely devastated, heartbroken by the loss of the balloon, and stood there crying, and my dad had to go back to the fun fair and get me another identical balloon, which did nothing to console me. I kept crying, and that's my earliest memory, not a very happy one.
2.
My earliest memory is probably from when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and it was Christmas, and I was at my nan's house with all my family, and my uncle was reading to me. He was reading The Little Mermaid, except that he was making it up. He wasn't actually reading the words in the book. He was just saying things like, Ariel went to buy some fish and chips and things like that. And that made me quite annoyed because I was at an age where I couldn't really read myself, but I knew that he was reading it wrong. So I got quite annoyed with him and told him to read it properly. But yeah, that's my earliest memory.
3.
My earliest memory is from when I must have been nearly 3 and we were moving house. We moved to a block of flats, and I remember arriving, and it was dark, and we'd had quite a long journey, and we arrived and we went in the door and we turned the lights on and nothing happened, and the whole flat was completely black and dark. No power, no electricity, no lights. And I thought this was fantastic. And we had a torch, and I was just running around the hall and the rooms, finding all these new rooms, all with a torch. And I imagined that it was always going to be like that we'd arrived in a house that wasn't going to have light. So I was always going to have to use a torch. And I thought that was going to be brilliant. My mother was in tears. Obviously, she was very stressed from the journey and arriving somewhere and having no power. But I was really, really excited by it. And the next day, when the power came on, I was really disappointed.